If I could be a third of the woman that my mom is and have a third of the strength that she has, then I will have done good by this life. I'm a really rotten liar. Generally, if I've tried to pull off a lie, it hasn't worked out to my advantage. My favorite song is Someone to Love. That is more like me than the other stuff, as it was the only one I was actually able to create from the bottom up. I call it an homage, not a remake. It is an homage to Freddie Mercury because I don't think people can really remake Freddie Mercury. That's why we did a gospel version. The older I get, the more I embrace my own idiosyncrasies. Anyone that has a music career and an acting career I think is pretty fantastic. I am an eternal optimist. Being happy is a choice. And you can make that choice every day if you want to. I can't believe that people actually know my first and last name. I think it's really, gosh darn neat. I've always seen myself as one of those show people. My earliest memories are wanting and needing to entertain people, like a gypsy traveler who goes from place to place, city to city, performing for audiences and reaching people. I am honored to be a part of that film. It has a really important message, embracing one's individuality. It was the most universal film I've ever read. I'm a clean freak and a germaphobe. I have hand sanitizer in my pocket. I definitely want to start a family, but that will happen when it's supposed to. I think they should take everyone who works for the National Enquirer and the Star, and everyone who works for Us Weekly and put them all to work looking for terrorists. I think they would find the terrorists. All of them. It would be genius. My trouble is I talk first and think later. Sticking to your values, listening to your instincts, making your own choices is so important. To give Tinker Bell a voice for the first time in history is such an honor. Sometimes we love people so much that we have to be numb to it. Because if we actually felt how much we love them, it would kill us. That doesn't make you a bad person. It just means your heart's too big. My singing voice isn't like my speaking voice. It's always been my mom and I against the world. I don't even take myself seriously, so how could I possibly take Hollywood seriously? I've never formally trained in acting, so I'm very instinctual and visceral with decisions. You actually can make it, no matter what. I truly am a firm believer in that. Eminem's living proof. I do almost anything for love, within safe boundaries. I've flown to places to surprise people, even if it was just for a day. I think it's so important to keep the romance alive and make sure the fun and spontaneity are there. After a breakup, it takes a couple weeks for the fog to settle, but it's always a period of self-priority and growth. Life presents you with so many decisions. A lot of times, they're right in front of your face and they're really difficult, but we must make them. I find this life so interesting. I consider myself a character actor. I think the key to happiness is allowing ourselves to not feel bad or guilty for feeling it and letting it be contagious. And to not be dependent on other people to create your own happiness. I come from a military family. I'm trying to figure out the trick of working to live as opposed to living to work, but I don't know if I've quite stumbled upon it just yet. I ask a lot because I'm very curious, especially about ex-girlfriends. I'm pretty good at getting the answers, too. I think if there's something one needs to change with oneself, it doesn't have to happen in the new year. You can do that anytime you please, not that it's not a good inspirational tactic for the people that it works for. I don't think Hollywood per se is supposed to be taken seriously, otherwise, dear Lord, that would be frightening. I do sarcasm really poorly. My dreams and aspirations when I was a child for as long as I can remember was to be an entertainer. I just always have to cry out a breakup, and then I can make peace with it pretty quickly. Everybody has difficult years, but a lot of times the difficult years end up being the greatest years of your whole entire life if you survive them. I love producing. My dream as a producer is to be able to build a company that can be a safe haven for artists, for directors, and for writers and actors to do what they do best and let them have final edit. I'd like to build something to that effect. It's easy to get wrapped up in sharing everyday life with a partner. It's fun to get lost in love and romance. It's the best. But holding on to yourself while doing that is the most important thing. I never had a chance to learn how to drive. And as much as I love the gritty characters, I like to play all sorts of characters. I'm an actor. I love to create. Yeah, I'm a giver. I've learned to be selective of the people in my world because if I love someone, I will give them my blood, whatever they need. In doing so, one can end up with little left for themselves. I've been trained in dancing and I used to be quite good, though I am a bit rusty right now. But I could probably brush up in a couple of months. I can play any instrument if you give me 20 minutes. I take work very seriously and telling the truth in my job and professionalism. I did learn one great lesson from a past relationship, and that was to never talk about relationships in print again because I'd rather live my private life than read about it. I don't really take myself very seriously. I always wanted to be a young mom, but generations of women have worked so hard so we can have a career and wait to have children. So I say carpe diem, take advantage of that. I'd love to be a man for a day, just to see what it's like. With all the technology we're inventing and what they're coming up with scientifically, people are having longer lifetimes. It's scary, but in the same sense it's also very exciting. Tired is not a word in my vocabulary. It blows my mind the way Frank Miller can write.